Okay, look, I'm a positive person. I'm not a doomsday guy. I'm not going to come on here and tell you that Hollywood is dying or movies, as you know it, are going to cease to exist. However, there is a problem happening currently in the box office for movie theaters, and there's a lot to blame. The movies are to blame, streaming services are to blame, budgets are to blame, we are to blame. So let's talk about it. This weekend, Furiosa came out and Garfield came out. Two movies that were supposed to do very well, one with kids, obviously, and one with everybody else. Furiosa was one of the movies that was thought to, really put a jolt into the box office because of the box office success of Mad Max Fury Road. However, if you look at the box office run of Mad Max Fury Road, it had a $45 million opening weekend. It didn't even make $400 million. Now, it made enough money to justify it being made, but that's a Mad Max movie. This movie, Furiosa, which made what, 30 million opening weekend? Not even. 15 under Mad Max Fury Road, is a prequel to that movie about a beloved character in the franchise played by a different actor. So unless this movie came out and the reviews were otherworldly, Best Picture type movie, and that's not the buzz I'm hearing. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't judge the movie. I'm just talking about the performance of the box office. People have said it's good. It's good to great. But people didn't leave that movie going, oh my God, go see this right now, like they did Mad Max. And everybody that saw Mad Max Fury Road left that movie saying, oh my God, go see it. And it still didn't even cross 500 million. And again, that's not a knock on the movie. But to sit here and say Furiosa stunningly underperformed what? This movie was not a movie that people were asking for. It's a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road. And let's talk about the title, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, I think that's what it is. Why didn't they call it Mad Max Furiosa? Because when you look at the poster or when you see the thing when you're going to buy tickets, you see Furiosa, and then eventually you see Mad Max something over here on the right. But if you don't know it's a Mad Max movie right off the rip, you might not go see it. Some people were complaining about Bumblebee back in the day being called Bumblebee and not Transformers Bumblebee. My pushback on that was, if you see the trailers for this movie, or if you know anything about it, you know it's a Transformers movie, you know that's Bumblebee from the Transformers. However, you might not know right off the rip this is a Mad Max movie because you're like, oh, if that's Furiosa, where's Charlize Theron? I'm thinking about people like my mom and dad who are not in the business of movies or whatever, or not on film Twitter and don't know about Mad Max prequels. If they saw Mad Max Fury Road and saw a movie coming out called Furiosa, that's not gonna ring a bell for them. If it was called Mad Max Furiosa, I think it would have made more money, but not enough to save it. And my point is this. George Miller and the gang didn't spend that much on it. It was like 150 million. Maybe that still was too expensive, but this movie should not have had the lofty expectations that people were putting on it. So that's the first movie that came out this week that underperformed, and that's why people are saying doom and gloom about the box office. Fall Guy kind of ate shit, even though it's creeping back to making a profit or breaking even. Apes did good. Apes has been on par with the rest of the franchise. Garfield did okay. It did 30-ish million too, but it underperformed, not because people didn't go see it, even though it made 100 million worldwide already, so that movie's made its money back. It underperformed in America because IF kept making money. I told y'all, people that go see this movie love it. Doesn't matter what the Rotten Tomatoes score is. It's already made its budget back, $110 million or whatever. It made $20 million this week after making $35 last week. The theaters were packed the second time I saw it, and word of mouth did this movie good. I'm telling you, when average everyday people see this movie, they're going to tell their friends and family, like I did, go see this movie. And this movie has already made its budget back in its first 2 weeks. And now we don't have another kids movie until Inside Out comes out the 14th of June. So if it's going to be a hit for Paramount. So when people say the box office is dying, Furiosa and Garfield didn't do enough. Garfield didn't do enough because IF had legs, and Furiosa didn't do enough because it was never going to do enough unless the critics' reviews came out and said that Mad Max Furiosa, that's not the title, it should have been Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, was better than Fury Road. And look, I touched on this in one of my other videos, I can't remember which one it was, but the movie industry and the movie-going industry ever since COVID has changed for the worst. And obviously the pandemic scared people into going to see a lot of movies back in the day. Yes, we know about this. And I was nervous too. Everybody was nervous, and rightfully so, whatever. The second HBO Max decided we're gonna release Wonder Woman 1984 on the streaming service the same day it would come out in theaters, That was it. It was over. And I don't mean it's over for movie theaters, but now there's a 45-day window. If your movie doesn't make gangbusters in the first week or two, it's going to be at your home on demand, on your computers and your phones in 45 days. And it has trained people to go, you know what? I don't need to see this in theaters. I'm going to wait till it's at home. And I get it. It's so expensive to go see a movie nowadays. It's so expensive to do anything nowadays. And Tom Rothman, the head of CEO, has said the way to combat this is to lower the ticket prices. If we lower ticket prices in movie theaters, more people will go to see them and we'll sell more movies out. And maybe that's a good positive of movies and movie theaters trying to get people back into the cinema, lower the ticket prices. However, it's not going to happen right away. That's going to take a lot of convincing, especially for the smaller movie theaters that aren't chains. And if you want to get people butts in seats to see these movies, they have to be something we've never seen before, like an Oppenheimer or a Barbie. It's got to take control of the narrative. It's got to be a hit on the internet. It's got to do all these things. And another reason why the box office isn't performing as well as it usually is because it's going to be June and we've had 0 MCU or DCEU or Star Wars projects in the theater. There is one MCU movie coming out this year, there are no DC movies coming out, and there are no Star Wars movies coming out. And even though a movie like The Marvels underperformed, it still would have made the most money of basically any movie this year, which would have at least bolstered the total box office of the year. So those movies might be bad now, but they still make a ton of money relative to the movies that are being made now. And because we don't have these big IP movies, it looks like the box office is struggling. But in 2025, when you have Fantastic Four and Blade and all these different DC, Superman and all these movies, Star Wars is back in theaters, all these movies are going to come back out in 2025, the box office will shoot right back up. I don't know about the quality of these movies, but the box office will for sure. Not only did streaming hurt the movie industry by dropping the day-and-day stuff, but they've inflated the budgets so much. They bought Rian Johnson's Knives Out movies, which are some of my favorite movies ever. I love those movies. They bought 2 and 3, Glass Onion, and now, what is it, Don't Wake Up a Dead Man, something like that. Very cool title. For $450 million. That's not even his budget. So streaming services have inflated the budget so much that these directors are going to studios that aren't streaming services and asking for the same budgets and getting them. And now, because Netflix is scaling back and they're putting ads in their services because they need to make more money, it's going to take some time for these studios to realize we are spending too much money on these movies. And if we scale the budgets back, we can charge less for ticket prices and everybody can come back into the theater a more consistent way. Now look, when Inside Out 2 comes out, assuming that it's a critical success, and Deadpool and Wolverine comes out, assuming that it's as good as everyone says it is, that's going to boost the box office this year. And we still got some stuff coming out Christmas Day. We got M. Night's movie, and we got his daughter's movie. Those are both going to make a lot of money because they were made for virtually nothing. The Lion King, I'm sure, will crush. There are movies that are going to come out that will help the box office this year. But you have to understand that we cannot look at the box office as if it is 2019 anymore. The pandemic and streaming services and strikes and budgets have changed everything. So we cannot expect a movie like Mad Max Furiosa to make a ton of money. That's just not how it's going to work anymore. Unless, again, it comes out and it's a crazy action movie like that and it's getting Oscar buzz. If you can get everybody on the same page, 4 quadrants of the country, then you can make your money back. Hey, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I don't think I'm going to go see another movie until Inside Out. Nothing really interests me at the moment. Thought about seeing that Amy Winehouse movie, but then I heard it was... So I'm not going to go see it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe. It is free after all, no charges to you. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.